These buildings need to be speaking to a future that is going to be very, very different.
Our mission at Seattle University has to do with a just and humane world, and that resonates with students and faculty and staff here.
Divestment is the process of removing any kind of investment from the university, specifically the endowment of the university, and it's removing investments from things that we no longer want to support. In this case, it's fossil fuels. In the past, it's been tobacco, South Africa during apartheid. I definitely think SU is also focused very much on the consumer side and, reducing consumption, increasing recycling, that kind of thing, but doesn't necessarily think about the structural system that is at play.
But it's already impossible to mitigate all of the potential impacts of climate change. But it becomes worse and worse, and we have fewer and fewer options as we move forward without doing anything.
In 2012, when Bill McKibben introduced the 350 Divest campaign, he was in Seattle in the Benaroya Hall. It was a packed hall. He spoke to a committed group of people.
Sustainable Student Action is an environmental justice organization on campus. It's kind of based on a non-hierarchical leadership model. They met with Connie Cantor, they met with eventually the investment committee is kind of as far as they got before they got a no. But they had done rallies and petitions and that kind of thing and kind of started the campaign. There's a report that was put out by the TELUS Institute, and they said that there are 3 phases towards divestment for universities. And the first one is freezing future direct investments. The next one is getting rid of direct investments. And like I said, we've never done those 2, so we're already 2 out of 3. And the third is commingled funds. And so I think that we are urging them to continue what they already did, which is to freeze direct investments and take the next step, which is commingled funds.
The university really does need to take the issue of fossil fuel divestment seriously, because it really is a movement that's broader than just what's happening in SU or even the Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's an international advocacy movement, and that's what provides power for the movement. The broader it is and the more people that become involved, the more likely it is to facilitate the political change that has to happen.
Does the divestment of this small university with a very modest endowment relative to other universities in those parts, which are probably like 1/10 of what our overall investments that happen to be in these areas, and are not investing in those, is that effective? Does that make a difference? Does that make a big difference in terms of the... There was an agreement in my coming here in terms of how this would be carried out, and that's not what we agreed. Is that right, Nicholas? Yeah.
I can't control what people do.
Sure, I know you can't control, but I know what as the leader of this what we agreed on. So that's fine. That's fine. So I mean, I would need to have more. I would need to be more convinced. So I'm simply not convinced that Seattle University's divestment from fossil fuels is an effective means that would make a difference in regard to what the crisis is in regard to climate change. And I would need to be better persuaded by that it is. So you need to continue to try to, not just me, but you need to try to persuade me and our board of trustees.
But I do believe that Seattle University could be the first Jesuit university to divest. I think that would have a huge impact, and that it would really signal to other Jesuit universities that they have to do it as well.
It would be very, very significant because no Jesuit university, after 5 years of consideration of this, have decided to come anywhere close to it.
I want to ask Father Sundborg how exactly he sees his role as president and as a leader of an institution.
The as the president of the university, which is a not-for-profit organization, there are limitations in what I can say as the president regarding any political person or political issue. So I'm not free to be able to speak about those in any specific kind of a way. That's a violation of law. My own view is that the most important thing is education. That's what we're about.
We've heard a lot of the same arguments in the past, a lot of minimizing of the effects of the investments that we have, as well as a lot of doubt that anything that we do in this realm will make any difference.
There have to be decisions that are made that support non-fossil fuel-based energy infrastructure and that lead to a transition away from a fossil fuel-based energy infrastructure. And that is the opposite of what the present administration is doing. There are photographs that show Trump campaigning in coal country with signs saying Trump digs coal. It's very clear that the present administration is trying to get back to some idealized fossil fuel driven world, and that is scary and dangerous. So I think it's really important to develop the political support for the political action that's required to transition away from fossil fuels. I think they should be thinking about what you would do next, and I think that's part of the challenge.
It's a good point that you make. I mean, it's one that, you know, we have to be accountable to that and accountable to what we profess. So I accept your challenge.